Queen's Park Rangers held playoff pushers Bristol City to a 1-1 draw at Loftus Road on Saturday afternoon, with Karamoko Dembele's 21st minute header cancelled out by George Earthy's 30th minute equaliser. QPR's 5th point and an unbeaten 3-game week takes them to the all-important 50-point mark and widens their gap to the relegation zone to 8 points with just 4 championship fixtures to play. If you're new to the channel, I'm Connor, aka Hoopser. I make QPR match previews, reactions, interviews and features, so let's break down QPR's second consecutive draw at Loftus Road. If you enjoy this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow or leave a rating depending on where you're tuning in, and let's get into it. With Sam Field, Kenneth Powell and Paul Smith all forced off with injuries on Wednesday night, Martí Cifuentes made a further 4 changes to his winning starting 11 for Bristol City. Right back Harrison Ashby replaced Powell at left back for his first R start since our 6-2 FA Cup loss to Leicester City back in January, while Koki Saito was an indirect swap for Sam Field, with Nicholas Madsen shifting into the 10. Paul Smith was deemed fit enough to make the squad, but Karamoko Dembele claimed his place out on the right, while Yang Min-hyuk was the final change up top following Daniel Benny's full senior debut away at Oxford United. Mickey Frey was also back on the bench alongside Ryan Colley, meaning for the first time since before the international break, QPR had a senior striker available for selection. After putting a much needed 3 points on the board just 3 days beforehand, the atmosphere for this match was considerably lighter than it had been for the previous weekend's Cardiff board draw that had left us looking downwards with fear. And although the points would end up shared once again in W12 come quarter to 5, this was a higher quality and all-round more enjoyable affair than the one we watched 7 days prior. Martí Cifuentes and Nicholas Madsen both went as far as to say the opening 25 minutes were some of the best we'd played this season, and I'm inclined to agree with them. We played dominant, attacking, stylish football, and while it would be a valid question to ask where on earth Rangers had been hiding this all season, I really didn't care in the ground at the time. Harrison Ashby, really quite decent throughout this match in a bizarre continuation of him playing better on the wrong flank, kicked off proceedings 4 minutes in with a decent effort from range, but O'Leary had it covered in the top right and blocked Koki Saito's follow-up. A dodgy back pass from Jonathan Varane a few minutes later threatened to undo QPR's quick start and forced Jack Colback to pick up a yellow card just 7 minutes in for his cynical foul on Jason Knight, but Rangers didn't let that slow them down, at least not instantly, with Ronnie Edwards heading wide and Yang seeing his shot from range saved in the bottom left corner on 11 minutes. Rangers kept on toiling away, Bristol City barely allowed a sniff of the ball, and I'm happy to say that Madsen put in another improved display here and was well involved in this opening quarter of the game. Our best attacking move so far came 15 minutes in, with Saito pressing Bristol City out of possession, Madsen calmly slotting it through the middle to Yang and the Korean working it out to Dembele, who, having spotted the waving arm of Ashby, bent a perfect ball round the back of the defence to set the Newcastle loanee in 1-on-1. But his attempt to poke it in with his right foot was spoiled by O'Leary once again. We kept on going and our move for the opening goal was the best of the match and quite possibly one of our best this season. It began with Morrison playing an incisive ball from the back to Madsen through the middle, the Dane initially playing it backwards to a deep Dembele on the right, but dinking it quickly onwards to the higher Jimmy Dunn when the ball returned. Dunn then flicked the ball cutely behind for Dembele on the overlap, taking out 3 Robins at once. Karamoko cut it into Yang inside the box. Yang held it up well before distributing it back out to Madsen on the wing, and the revitalised midfielder took a touch before looping in a pinpoint cross for Dembele of all people to nod home in the bottom left corner. It was a really lovely team goal and both Dembele and Madsen's second goal involvements each in as many matches. And before Bristol City equalised 8 minutes later, Rangers produced several good chances for a second, the best just 2 minutes after we'd taken the lead when Dunn went inches wide from volleying in Rob Dickey's attempted clearance. The away side at this stage had barely got themselves on the ball, let alone have a shot on target. The trouble is, when they did start to get on it around 25 minutes, we couldn't get it off of them, and in that regard this felt very much like an early season QPR match where we would go 1-0 up and take our collective foot off the gas. Once in possession, you could start to see what a well-coached team Liam Manning's Robins are. They worked it across the pitch, side to side, always giving each other options, waiting patiently for an opening, and within 5 minutes of doing so, they found one. In another callback to early season Rangers, this is where you could start to see that Dembele's defensive work off the ball still has acres of room for improvement, because once his pressure and marking became half-hearted, Bristol City sniffed out our weakness down our right-hand side. In honesty, he'd actually struggled quite a bit before scoring, losing the ball 3 or 4 times, and as soon as he got caught in no man's land defensively, Knight was able to find Max Bird on the edge of the box. Bird cleverly poked it through the lines to George Earthy, who was onside between Morrison and Edwards, and the West Ham loanee delicately steered it into the bottom right corner. Despite that having been their only shot on target of the game so far, in fact it would end up being their only shot on target of the 90 minutes, the equaliser completely shifted the momentum of the match, and although only one effort would follow from either side before the break, the ball would remain firmly in Bristol City's grasp. It made the second half a much cagier affair, and with Bristol City dominating 64% of the ball this time, it was one of far less attacking action. Rangers were denied a blatant handball in the City penalty area on 54 minutes when a patient passage of passing culminating in Yang's attempted chip to Colback inside the box struck the wrist of Dickey, and a minute later there were more calls for a penalty when Saito cut inside the former QPR centre-back from the right, although that one for me looked a little bit too soft. The first actual shot of the half wouldn't arrive until the hour, when just after Cifuentes' first sub of Smith on for Dembele, the R's had a huge opportunity to restore their lead when Morrison pounced on a loose Bristol City ball and redistributed it to Yang in the middle. The Spurs loanee tried to rival Dembele's early curved ball with a through ball of his own, and while it was initially too heavy, Saito bullied Earthy off of it right on the line and was completely free to cut it back in the box, but Yang slipped under pressure from the away side's backline in front of an open net. Further changes followed on 73 minutes, Morgan Fox and Daniel Benny replacing Colback and Madsen, meaning Edwards was pushed into the middle, and the match really wouldn't see much more attacking action until the final 10 minutes. Having switched off for Bristol City's equaliser, QPR defended well to limit further damage in this match, but a bizarre moment of panic between Morrison, Varane and Edwards on 81 minutes nearly saw an overall underutilised Nahki Wells tap in the winner after rounding Paul Nardi, only for Morgan Fox to intervene on the line. 5 minutes later, 2 minutes after Sinclair Armstrong had replaced fellow Ars alumni Wells, Ryan Colley took to the pitch for the first time in over 2 months in place of Saito, while Lucas Anderson replaced Yang Min Hyuk, and on 89 minutes the substitute pair almost instantly could have won this game. Benny and Anderson hassled the away side off of the ball from a throw-in, and out of nowhere there was suddenly rare space through the middle for the Dane to carve through. He waited for the perfect opportunity to pass it to Colley, ideally positioned just outside the box, and his deflected shot went agonisingly wide of the right side post. If that one wasn't painful enough, there was still one final chance for a winner when a quick counter-attack on 93 minutes saw Colley fast approaching the same position with unmarked options to both his left and right, but he wrongly chose to shoot again instead and watched his shot from range go well over the crossbar to collective groans around the ground. A draw was a fair result, and this was all in all like night and day compared to Cardiff at home just the week before, and other than us switching off for their goal, I thought we competed and defended really well against a side that is 4 games off from securing a playoff place. Those opening 25 minutes are the template for how this team should attack: direct, pacey and stylish, and if Cifuentes can work out how to sustain that over longer periods, this could be a really threatening side. You could also argue it was because the pressure was off and the pressure was much more on Bristol City, but that is also the byproduct of picking up a win on Wednesday night and getting that confidence back. I'm pleased to see Madsen put out another improved display and got another assist under his belt, and I'd personally like to see him stay in the side now until the end of the season, because that's going to maximise our chances of actually getting our return on him. Dembele, despite his defensive shortcomings, does also bring an attacking impetus to this side that we have sorely missed this season. Colley, quick to tell the fans lesson learned on his Instagram after the match, is hugely welcomed back, and hopefully he can end the season strongly. In all seriousness, I rate that he had the guts to go for that shot, even if it was the wrong choice, and I was reminded a little bit of Eze's young bullishness, which really can't be a bad thing. That is now also, of course, 12 starts for Morrison without defeat, and despite some clumsiness, you could really see what he offers the side in this match with those incisive passes into the middle, ensuring we didn't have to watch the backline play it backwards and sideways for too long. Personally, I think we have picked up a real gem there, and for me, with all the question marks over who else is going to be in that defence next season, he has got to be the first name on the team sheet. Anyway, that's all from me. What did you think about this match? Let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this match reaction and you haven't already, please make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time for my Preston North End preview. Cheers!